Right. Okay. Let us begin. Today I'm going to do my first video. I'm going to zoom out a bit. For a new channel, which is going to be about electronics and bits and pieces. So basically it's going to be, I think, a tutorial series channel, but we're going to look at some funky things like retro computers and things like that, and playing with Lego with electronics, because that's what I'm keen on. I'm not an electronics expert, I'm learning as I go, and I've always felt that teaching things is the best way to learn things yourself. So this is partly to teach myself more things. It's going to be about electronics, but there's really lots of microcontroller stuff and Arduinos, and because I've got a background in programming, I'm much better at that kind of stuff, but we'll see how it goes. Anyway, I thought we'd start off and we should do a tutorial series just to do the very basics for people who want to get into just playing around with some electronic gadgets. This is going to be a kids friendly channel, so I'm going to try and make sure that there's enough for everybody of every level, even if you're quite young. So this is going to be the start. This particular video is not only the start of the channel, it's also going to be the start of like a short little series to make something kind of like this. So this looks really bizarre, and you may be wondering, what is this thing? This is a decimal to binary converter. So we're going to go through how to make something like this. So it's probably not going to be quite as complicated as this, because this is such a mess. It's like, seriously, it's terrible. Have a zoom in a bit. Yeah, focus for a bit. The focusing. Look at that thing. It's a mess. You can look at that. It's all over the show. It does work though. So let's see what happens. We're going to press button number 1, which this is button number 1, I think. And one little light comes on, and we're going to press button number 2, and the second light comes on. Now, when I press button number 3, you're probably thinking, well, you might be thinking, oh, this spotlight's going to come on. But you're wrong! So wrong. We have 2 lights come on. And then we're going to press this button here, and it doesn't work. That one's been playing up. And I think something's touching somewhere, and it's not working. It did work before. Come on, work again. Okay, this is why I'm not going to make one this complicated. There we go, this wire's touching there. That's the problem with these things. The wires are all over the show. So now if I press that one, the little light turns on. So that's number 3, and if we press this one, we get those 2, and we get those. And lastly, when we press number 7, this is the 7th button along here, it's all 3 at once. And if that's really confusing as to what on earth this is doing, well, this is what this little series is going to teach you. So it's going to teach you a couple of things. It's going to teach you about all these little bits and pieces that I've got on this board and how they work together and why it's such a mess. It's also going to teach you what binary is. So I said it's a decimal to binary converter. That might sound strange. So we'll learn what that is, and it's really important if you want to do anything that's kind of related to low-level computer stuff. And we're going to be doing some stuff with computers, I hope, later on. In particular, things like Commodore 64s, because I like those kind of things. But also, once we've done this, you can understand some very geeky jokes. And I think that's an important skill to have in life. So anyway, we're not going to build this today. We're going to build just the really basics. We're going to make a little light come on, a little LED, and then we'll probably call it a day, and we'll progress to more complicated things next time. And eventually we'll get up to one, probably with just 2 little lights and 3 buttons, because it's just not worth going any further. So anyway, let's just take this thing off for a second, and we'll put that one over there, and look, it's a blank one. So this is kind of an important first thing to have. So these are quite cheap. So I'm going to try and focus on things that you can buy really cheap off eBay or AliExpress or anything like that, because this does not have to be an expensive hobby or curiosity. You can get a lot of these bits pretty cheap to get you going, and they're very common. They're all kind of the same. Everyone has these exact type of things. These things are quite useful. So this one's probably the older model. They have a better one, I think, with the jacks on the side. We'll go through why that is kind of cool. But this is the power, well, I won't call it a power supply. It's a thing that turns the 9-volt battery that we have here into 5 volts or 3 volts for this thing here, and it plugs straight in. That sounds boring, but it plugs straight into here, and then it sort of powers this. So we're going to have to talk about how this works. I was going to have a picture drawn for that, but we may have to draw it today. And I've lost my felt tip pen that I just had, so we're going to have to use a Moomin pen. Okay, this is the one that I used before, this piece of paper, to do scrap stuff. It's got little black dots on it, but that's fine. Basically, this has metal wires in it, or metal strips. You can imagine it has metal strips, and they go certain ways, and they link things. So they link things from one hole to another hole, and it basically looks like that's coming up on the camera, and and then there's the gap in the middle, and 2 more here. So these ones here are all connected, but they aren't connected to the ones next door to them, but all the ones in that column are connected, and so on and so on and so on, all the way down, and everything along here with the little red mark. Let's just zoom straight in. I don't think that's going to focus on that. I don't think my camera is up to focusing that close. Shame. Alright, it probably just can't see it. Okay, so there's a one here. These are called we can call these the power rails. So it's like a rail on a train line, and they go along there, and then there's 2 like that. This is where we're going to put our positive voltage, which is the higher voltage, and the negative voltage can go here. We're going to learn better terms for things as we go along, and what this all means as we go. But that's basically what they are. There we go. There's a side-by-side comparison. Now, when we plug these little wires in here, they go over like that in this case, and they're going to, I put it the wrong way around. So the trick here, you can't quite see, but there's a little plus and a little minus, and you kind of want them to match up. Like this thing is going to work. Oh, it fell off. I think this one's seen better days. You kind of want them to match up. They don't actually have to match up, but it would just get super confusing, because this way the red one is the plus and the blue one is the minus, and they match up on both sides, so that's plus and minus. So this is designed pretty much for this type of breadboard. So these are breadboards. I can't remember if I said that. This is like a voltage converter, regulator thingy, what's it. I think that's quite cool because you can also plug in a USB device and charge your phone off it from a 9-volt battery. So if we plug this thing in, and then we press, it's already pressed, let's pretend we hadn't pressed it, and then we press this little button, this pops on, that means it's turned on. Over here, these little jumpers, you can swap them over, and you can change the output voltage from 5 volts to 3.3 volts. These are the common voltages for like little hobby things or digital things on breadboards. We're going to go into a lot more about that later on, but that's all we need to do now. Now the very first circuit is going to make a bulb light up. Now I was going to do something clever. When I was a kid, if you wanted to do electronics, everything was this kind of bulb here. So this is a little tiny incandescent bulb. I don't think that one, I don't actually know what voltages these are supposed to run at. I've got a whole pile of them. What does it say? It says 12 volts, so that's not really enough. So I used to have ones that were 1.5 volts. I've also got a huge bag of them here. Maybe it says, because if we have that we can do it with a little battery. This says 2.2 volts. Okay, we're going to use this one. That one went in there. So let's get a 2.2 volt one out. I know, these ones don't look anywhere near as cool. So when I was a kid, where did I put it? I would do this little trick where you would take your little battery and you'd get yourself a wire like this, and you'd hold it at the bottom. I don't think this one, I've never tried it with this bulb, it might not even work. Probably says 22 volts, that'd be my luck. You kind of hold it like this, and so one little bit is not focusing at all. Come on, camera, come on, you can do it. I'm going to zoom back out of it. Alright, so wrong one, this one here. So we put it on the little metal bit at the bottom, goes on top of the battery, and the other metal bit, hold it in your hands, and then you're like, there you go, it does work, look at that, it's so cute. It's like, I've just made a torch, I'm so cool. And this is quite cool, like this. So you could get into electricity with one battery, one little bulb, and a piece of wire. And in fact, if we get up that 12 volt one, we don't even need the wire. Where we're going, we don't need wires. Everything should be a sort of paraphrasing of Back to the Future. Here we go. So there are the two contacts on the 9 volt battery, and this is a 12 volt one. Double check. So no, it says 26 volts. Okay. Where was that one I had before? I've got this one mixed. It says 12 volts on the bag. Alright. This video is taking way too long. Who cares? It's just going to go there. Nothing's going to... Oh, look at that. No wires. I made a torch. It's a torch. Meow. And look at this light. I'm actually a big fan of incandescent light bulbs. The lights I'm using to knock everything over, the lights I'm using to light everything up here are actually a fluorescent and incandescent, because I just like the light better. So this is nice. Maybe we'll go into how the different lights work at some point, but it's just a nicer light. Anyway, we've gone off track. We are going to make a very simple circuit. What time? We've probably gone on for 5 hours now. Running out of time. Anyway, here is the circuit. This is the circuit diagram. I think it's important to make circuit diagrams because it just helps you understand things. If you're just going to put them straight on here, it's harder to explain. But basically, I don't think I've drawn that correctly. That's meant to be a light emitting diode. So we're not going to use these little guys because I don't have I don't have a holder on hand. We're going to use little LEDs. I'll move those to the side. Let's see what we've got in here. So they come in lots of different colours. So here's a red one. Everyone's seen these, and a blue one, and a yellow one. So we're going to make a little circuit that will make this light come on. This thing here is the battery, or in this case it is a battery. It's two little cells together. Technically I don't think that's the right symbol to use because we're using this thing. So the battery does come into it, but the battery is well over on the side here, and it's going into here. All we care about is this bit here, and it's coming out here. So this is just a voltage source. As we go along, we'll use better symbols to understand things. You could of course do this exact circuit without this bit here and just use a battery, and if I can find, well, we'll just do that anyhow. We'll just use our hands, but first off we'll do it with this thing because I like these things. These are good, and also they seem to be reasonably sturdy. If you put things around the wrong way, they don't blow up straight away. And then we have the last thing here, which is this little zigzag thing. Now I know that most people like it. A European symbol for this is just a little square, and that's the way I should do it because it's a smarter, better way of doing it. This is not a very useful symbol, but I always do it, and I like zigzags, and I don't know why. Well, it should just be a square with a value in it. So the resistor is the first exciting part. Where's my little box of resistors? Don't have them. Alright, we've got this. Here's a big bag of them. Here's a couple. Here's a circuit board I prepared earlier. And here is a really cool old school resistor. So this is a big one. This is what they used to look like. It has nice thick wires. So I'm a big fan of the older resistors that you can't buy anymore because they've got really thick wires that just stick into this thing, and it's very satisfying. It's like, oh, that's nice. Same with these ones. Look at this. Oh, it's beautiful. It's a work of art. We're going to use these ones today. These are actually half a watt ones. That doesn't mean anything yet. I just got these because I was hoping the wires would be thicker. They're not that much thicker. The only problem is so with the really thin wires, they're really fiddly to stick into this. So we're going to use this. These little colour bands, they mean stuff. They basically tell you what resistance they are. Resistors sort of resist the current flowing through them, and you can imagine them slowing things down. They have a lot of uses. It sounds kind of boring, like why would you want to slow things down when you could make things go faster? Because you want more power. You don't want to slow things down, you want more power. You want all the power you can get. But that's unfortunately not quite how things work, and they do have a use, and you want to slow things down. And resistors, you want to slow things down in particular because they don't like it when everything's just rushing through them. They in fact just decide to die, which is sad because we don't want them to die. So we're going to try and quickly make, because we're running out of time, because this is taking way too long. We got sidetracked with these things, and who wouldn't, but we have to stop for a second. We're going to just quickly make this circuit here. So this is going to be our battery. So these two little bits here are wires coming out. They're going to come out of here. We can imagine, here we go, that this is this point there, and this is that point there. It's not making any sense. Who cares? Let's just build it, and we'll see what it looks like. We're going to put the resistor, the LED, before we go any further. LEDs have two little legs. One of them is longer than the other one. That's important. So this is the anode, and this is the cathode. I think, off the top of my head, it doesn't matter. It does matter. It matters a lot. I'm not doing this, am I right? I think this is the right way around. It must be the right way around. So the big bit is the positive and the negative. Basically, if I've got this wrong, I don't care because the important thing is you get the basics. But electricity will flow this way. Talking about flowing electricity, I think, isn't actually very helpful. I want to think about it differently, but for now, to start off with, it makes sense. It flows out of here, flows through here, and goes around here. It's a diode. This is an LED, which is a light-emitting diode. Electricity is only going to go one way, pretty much for now. So we have to get it the right way around, otherwise it won't turn on. So the long leg is going to go to the higher voltage, or the positive voltage. So I'm going to start talking about the higher voltage. This is the 5 volt, and this is the 0 volt. Because that's, I think, more useful. So we're going to put this, is it going to work? I don't think this video is going to work. I'm going to put that about there. So the longer leg went in there, and the shorter leg went on that side. And now we've just got to put a wire in. I've got one of these things. and it's got little things called jumper wires, and they're little bits of pre-cut wire that you can use on these boards to link things up. So if we look on here, alright, the little minus bit was connected to the battery. So on here, this was the negative leg, the cathode, and I want it to go to the negative part here, so I'm just going to stick it kind of like that. I don't know if that was the best wire. It doesn't matter. And so now I've got this, so this leg is connected now to the negative because this entire column is all linked. So it's like there's a wire going from this leg to here, and there's a wire that goes across to this wire, and this wire goes to here, and then this wire, this little bit end of the wire goes all the way back to here. So now we've got the negative connected up. And now we need our resistor. This is I think a 240 ohm resistor. That will make no sense if you've never done this before, but it will hopefully at some point later on. But today we're just going to say this is a resistor that we can use to stop this thing from exploding and to give it enough electricity at the right rate so that it's happy. And there are two ways that we could plug this in. We could just stick it on the board first, like this. Alright, so now I don't know if we can see this. We can. It's a bit hard doing three things at once. This little wire, the long leg, is now connected on this column to everything else that's plugged into here, and I've plugged in one of the legs of the resistor into the same column. So this is column 15. You can't see it, but they're numbered. That's column 15. You don't have to put yours into 15. You can put it into whatever number is appropriate. And then I've got the resistor going through, and it's going into another column over here, which is number 24. Again, that doesn't really matter too much. And I'm going to get another little tiny wire, a purple one. Some people, I'm sure, that's way too big. Let's not do purple. Let's do a smaller orange one. That would be like, oh, the colors have to be all right. Oh, well, it turns out we've got good colors anyhow. So this orange one, I want to connect this little column here to the positive, or the higher voltage line, higher voltage rail. And so I just have to put this little wire there and link it across to there, and then you've done it. So now this comes in here, and it will match up with what we drew before. So the positive goes through here, comes along here, goes into the resistor, goes through there. I got the funny feeling this is not the resistor I thought it was. Oh no, it is 2400. 240. Anyway, so it goes through there, goes through the resistor, which is me going along here, and then up into here, around through there, which is going through here, and then back along here and into here. This is not like we can discuss all day what actually is happening with electricity and how this is working and what electricity is, and we'll come to that later on. But let's just pretend for now it's this magical thing that's flowing through here and going through there, and when it goes through here it makes light. That's how things work. Okay, and if you're really astute, you could go, we don't need this wire. Why are you wasting your time with this wire? We could just put it straight across like this. And that's what I do half the time. It's probably a messier way of doing things and doesn't look so neat. And of course, if you're really onto it, you can just say, well, you could just bend the legs and put this across onto that wire there, but we're not going to. Come on, it looks silly. It makes a big mess. I'm going to put it back there. Look at that. That is nice. Okay. Anyway, then we have one last thing, and then we're going to finish this video. We are going to plug it in. I'm plugging it in. Oh, what? I was supposed to talk about ruining the suspense. Okay. Let's pretend that didn't happen. Alright, so now I plugged it in. I just have to turn it on. Are you ready? Are you ready? Is it going to work? Who knows? I don't think I've got the... Let's just zoom out a bit. Zoom out a bit. Zoom out. Focus. Is it focused? It's focused. Okay. Okay, for the big moment. And activate. And it works! That was pretty cool. Yay! I've made a light. And we should all be happy and we can bask in the beautiful... The camera can't focus on that. Come on, camera, you can do this. I think I'm going to turn off the always focusing thing because it's kind of annoying. Bring back this thing and it might work. There we go. Alright. So that's the end of that thing. What we're going to do next time, I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to put that away. And I know we didn't get to see the awesome cool red and yellow and my special treat because our final thing, oh actually I also have the giant big red ones. These ones here, which are the special treats, and then what we're going to build our final thing with. Oh, what the hey, we'll just do it quick. It's just going to, like, we can just throw it in. This is how pro we are. We're just not even paying attention. This is extreme. I think I should have bent the legs out so much. Okay, is that going to work? It's a pink light. It looks a little purple, but it's pinky. So we're going to make it with pink lights, which I didn't have when I was a kid, and I didn't have blue ones either. So we'll stop it there, and that, but we're going to go back to our little picture, and so this is what it looks like now, and the next time, we'll probably do a bit more than this. We're going to try and do this bit here, but we're going to add in, first thing we're going to add in is that little cool thing there, which is meant to be a button. Did you like this little thing? I spent hours making this, so I peeled it off. You didn't even realize it was there. It was all like sleight of hand illusion. Alright, let's finish it up there, because I think that took a long time. Okay, thanks. Don't forget to click like and subscribe and share and whatever you're supposed to say when you finish this kind of stuff.